In the indie author space, no one really knows the industry quite like indie authors themselves. For such a niche industry like publishing, and even nicher still self-publishing, it is often the community members themselves learning, growing, and paving the way for themselves and others to succeed. Today, I have travelled up to Ballarat, Victoria, Australia, to chat to the wonderful individuals who make up Coven Press, a collective dedicated to making a self-published author's experience as rewarding and streamlined as possible. They are made up of 4 incredible women. We've got Liz, we've got Anna, we've got Stef, we've got Alana. And with their literary and publishing and marketing and design powers combined, Coven Press is a self-publishing hub ready to launch indie authors into the literary world. Welcome to this very special edition of the Indie Author Life Show. My name is MG Hunt, and I am here with all these incredible members of Coven Press. So I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for being here today, because it has been something that I think has been on the cards since maybe middle of last year, when you had the amazing All Looked Out Festival, and I got to see all of you in action for the amazing event that was. So to have the opportunity to chat to 4 people here today instead of one-on-one is very special to me. So thank you for inviting me up here to do this wonderful show. I hope you're all excited.
Yeah, very excited.
Yes, no problem. You know, the GPS took me on a weird detour today from my place in Melbourne, but I got here and it's a beautiful drive.
It is.
So, yeah. Yes. So we should get into some of these questions that I have, and feel free for anyone to add their 2 cents or answer it or whatever. No problem at all. So I would like to know, what does a day in the life of being here at Coven Press look like for you all? Do you all have a routine, or do you not? Or anything like that? Is it structured weekly, monthly, whatever? Tell me everything. Yeah, whoever.
Well, I think we all have individual things. I think everyone should definitely touch on their own things.
Yep.
I think one of the things we have really worked hard to do, knowing that we each have individual schedules and lives and different ways of working, even different like hours that we function better at or whatever. So we've worked really hard at putting processes in place within Coven so that we can come in and make sure that we're checking in and nothing's falling through the cracks. And that looks like weekly meetings and monthly meetings and things like that. But
yeah,
as far as day to day goes,
different.
Yeah, it's quite different.
Yeah.
Like, I think if I'm probably the least structured out of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a night owl, so it hits 11 p.m. and I'm like, I've got it, and I start working then. So it definitely the days are always different, which I think everyone's individual things will make clear. But it's usually just there's a whole mix of jobs that we do. Yeah. So it's balancing client facing work versus the tasks that we're endlessly setting for ourselves and striving to like push towards new projects and to grow.
Yeah.
So usually a day for me is making sure that those client deliverables are really ticked off first, and that communication is addressed first and foremost, and then kind of cramming in as much admin stuff as my brain can kind of handle, and then going sort of creative for the rest of the day. Like, obviously I do, which we'll talk about later, but my own writing and stuff as well. So it's like leaving time for outside creative endeavors in that.
It's important.
Different.
Yeah.
Every day though.
It's different every day.
Yeah.
That's cool. So is that similar for everyone else, or is that perhaps who's the most organised maybe out of the group?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I know anyone could claim that.
No structure. It's all just whatever. Yeah, that's the creative life. Yeah.
Got the good lists on the day.
Yeah. The list. You have an agenda.
Always.
Okay.
I think it is a little bit like similar to Alana. It's that definitely there is that client-facing work. We've recently been implementing a lot of measures in place so that we do have people that are specifically for projects for clients working one-on-one with them. Even though we as a collective are working with them, just having that one person we found really brings the whole thing together and makes people feel a lot more safe with you and with their work.
Yes.
So a lot of it is that, okay, who am I working with today? What's happening today? What's going on? What are the updates? And then jumping into the more, for me personally, the more marketing space things, those client deliverables. And then in amongst that, trying to find time to do all of the amazing common things that we, every time we get together, it's a million things, and how do we put them all together? So it's also that like background work.
Well, when you're all friends, that's like the hardest. It's one of the harder parts where you can go, oh, let's just chat about life and all that stuff. And then it's like, okay, but you know, we've got to do the work too. That's where I would struggle, that's for sure, is yapping too much besides getting things done. Yeah. So I guess the structure a lot of the time could be you do have your agendas and meetings and things like that. But when you get into the work, it seems to be touching base with the clients first, and then next it's admin stuff, then goes into your own individual projects, I can imagine, for the designated roles.
And on this side of the couch is different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us more.
Where the two work?
Yeah. So I have a full-time day job.
So that kind of, my hours are kind of all over the place. And I think I kind of work on like a 24-hour schedule almost. So I always, like, I'm, in the office or working from home some days.
Okay.
And on my lunch breaks, I'll be doing like our weekly client meetings or like a client consult or seriality, doing an edit of my 45 minutes that I get for my lunch. But then when I'm home between the hours of like 6 and 9, when I do about 2 to 3 hours of mostly editing. And then on the weekends is where a lot of the work happens. But I need, like, for me personally, having a Coven interaction every day helps to kind of keep my mind in the Coven space. Yep. So then it's like my day job is admin, so it's like something I can turn off.
So very different to what you do.
It's very much just, it's a job. But it takes up a lot of time. So the chats we have and the weekly meetings that we have set up really help to kind of keep me in the Coven.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the hardest things to juggle, I find, having a full-time commitment where that's where a lot of the income has to come in to sustain ourselves. Maybe the dream will happen where you will have Coven Press as a day job, but it is so common and perhaps the norm for a lot of people in the indie space to have full-time jobs that are not related.
Is someone describe them as muggle jobs?
I know, right? I heard that as well. Is that the same for you, Liz, with your routine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work 3 days, 2.5 to 3 days a week. Yeah. Something. Yep. Any creative thing. So, but then 2 days where I'm just Coven days where I just walk in and do that and I try and keep all the creative stuff sunlight. Like, for some reason it just kind of charges me during the day, and then I get to do all the admin stuff in the evenings.
Yeah. I think that's a nice balance.
I do. I see Liz sometimes in the sheets with me at 11 o'clock at night. Doing our little...
Yeah. 11 o'clock. So is there a definite night owl situation between...
I've seen you go through some phases sometimes. I see different times other people pop in at nighttime hours, and I'm like,
Oh,
Someone's not sleeping tonight.
happy to see you there.
Yeah.
So you're the chronic night owl.
Yeah.
And then you're an early bird, aren't you? I remember our discussions. You're very much like morning is the time to...
Productivity time.
Yes.
Early hours. Get over and done with.
Yes. And so you two, well, it depends, I guess, probably with the schedules that you have with it.
I'm mostly a night owl.
Yeah.
I'd love to be like Steph and be up at 5 in the morning, but I just don't think it's ever going to
Dark.
Yeah.
You set the alarm one day and then you're like, well, I'm going back to sleep.
Oh, God, that's so, I was almost tempted to keep sleeping this morning. No, I got places to be. So, in your own humble opinion, how has the self-publishing industry evolved, perhaps in the last year or the last several years? Was there any clear differences between maybe starting afresh this year and from last year? Maybe even changes in the marketing sphere or social media marketing?
I think there's that. I think there's a lot across the board that's I think there's a lot that's changed across the board that I've noticed. And I think I've always been in and around the publishing space, but I think I'm probably the quote unquote least experienced in this space compared to everyone else. And I came in a lot later than everyone else did. But the big thing I noticed is, I'm sure you guys can touch on it too, but the traditional publishing space is actually using indie authors in the indie space to dictate what they do next. I've seen a lot of either like ideation or books coming out in traditional spaces that I know I have read previous to that or have done really successful as indie authors, even down to what the expectation of the reader is. Readers now want to see these beautiful hardcover books with their like all the foils and all the bells and whistles. That's what they want. And I've seen a lot of publishers coming out with these iterations. So I think just holistically, I would say the indie space is almost pushing traditional publishing into changing into being what the readers do want.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see that as well. I remember thinking about launching my debut Still Waters Run Deep and knowing that in order to feel like I could present the most successful offering I could, almost had to emulate my book looking like a traditionally published book in whatever form that might be. But one thing I did try to do is have a foil on the cover, because I know that the quality from, say, Amazon and Ingram Spark is great compared to what I imagined it to be for something where you feel like you are putting your book out there and you upload it for free in a lot of ways, low cost option. And knowing that that book would still be a good option to put out there, fine, but there is sort of the power has now shifted into the hands of a lot of indie authors where you can actually start to compete with traditional publishing.
Absolutely.
Yes. So,
And I think the story as well, that kind of what you were saying, Steph, with indie publishing influencing traditional publishing.
oh yes,
There's such a wider breadth of stories being told in the indie space.
Yeah.
And even if you just, look at romance specifically, the makeup of the characters that are featured or the type of relationships that are featured, that is a massive kind of movement, I suppose, in indie publishing, that
the tropes maybe in romance.
diversity. Yeah, the diversity.
Yes.
And you can see that reflected in traditional publishing now. And I think another big shift in self-publishing is the quality of the output, for sure, because there's just so many more options now to engage with editors and formatters and designers.
Yes.
But then also the fact that there's brick and mortar bookstores for indie authors that are just solely for them.
Yes.
I think that's one of the most exciting things.
It's so exciting.
I think that's one of the main observations, like expanding on that. One of the main observations I've seen is I think anybody who's, heard of self-publishing at all in the last couple of years knows that there was, and still persists to be, but there was a really significant stigma around it. that it was less equality, or anyone can just pay to publish now, whatever the sort of rhetoric around that was. And it's shifting a lot more now that it's less like looked down upon, and more there's actually a lot of communities built around it. And there's readers who very specifically are like, I just read indie.
Yes.
I just love indie. Like I love, you and I would have the experience of going to book events and just getting to actually connect with people more. Like the readers I find get a lot more, they're so much more excited to come and like meet you and have more access to the author, I guess, in front of them.
That's it too. Talk to me more about that author community.
Yeah, I think we've seen it's creating
Standards.
positions.
Yes.
It's creating jobs.
Yep.
It's creating communities. It's creating connections that previously just didn't exist at all. And you mentioned it in your intro very briefly about the community is what builds the community, right? And I think that is massive in the indie author sphere. We've seen bookstores opening that never would have had that ability to be open if not to support indie books specifically. And it's led by the people that are doing it, right? Like indie authors are the people out there opening these bookstores. Indie readers are the ones out there opening these bookstores. They're the ones out there doing the work to get qualified in editing and design and all of these things that then build the industry even further.
Yes.
Because there wasn't a lot of platforms to enable it. There was Ingham Spark, there was KDP, but the standard for those was not crazy high enough. And now we're seeing indie authors getting into massive printing deals, having audiobook opportunities, having their books in stores as opportunities, having the opportunity to work as, street teams, ARC readers, like all of these things that just never existed and now is what is propping itself up. The community is propping itself up in that, which is amazing.
It is amazing. The community always never ceases to amaze me with how involved they get for setting the tone of what they expect from people as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's also fantastic is that it is a female-dominated space, which is quite rare in a lot of industries. If I even think about the film and television industry, for example, there's a lot of I just think about not just the sporting industry. I'm just thinking of other creative industries where it seems to be male dominated, like even music industry, I think. Yeah. So when it comes to creative pursuit, I feel like the book industry tends to really lean on its community to make sure that we're all looked after and welcomed too, but also makes it known what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of that as well. And I know that people will call it cancel culture and that buzzword about when you have to hold people accountable. But I think that the community does a really great job of setting the tone of saying we don't accept things.
Balances though, right? It's a new industry that's blossoming. And oftentimes what we see in new industries is that there's like, how do we act? What's okay? What's not okay? And so that's so important.
It is.
To be able to be like for the readers to be able to be like, we didn't love that. Actually.
No.
And to have that direct communication through Bookstagram and Threads and all the things and being like, all right, cool. Noted. This is how a community moves going forward. Which, how else do you do it? Right?
Yeah, and I don't think there's any other community quite like it where it seems to be across the board that I feel confident about the moral compass that seems to be guiding a lot of people. Where, of course, like any industry, there's going to be the bad actors out there. Like, for example, people that use generative AI in their work. Yes, that is going to be the battle that we're up against.
Yeah.
However, it seems like across the board, most people are against it and quick to say, no, we don't support it. Yes. So I know we've got a lot of thoughts around the generative AI situation, but it just has no place.
I was going to say that that's probably your main, like, in design.
Oh, yes. Talk to that a bit, Liz. What have you seen in the way of using generative AI and the standards around that?
Oh, well, I think it kind of people can make something look that way they want, I suppose. But
Yes.
a lot of what a cover designer does is they fit so much more in there. They like there's so much more symbolism and like emotion and just like really
It's human.
subtle things.
Yeah.
That just a machine where you say put a knight on a horse with a forest in the background isn't going to.
It's not going to cut it, is it?
No.
No. And so are you quite good at picking out a cover that's generative AI? Yes.
Yes.
Do you all look to Liz for that kind of advice?
Putting things in our group chat. Is this AI?
Yeah.
We've got pretty good radars.
Yes. And so do you find also, Anna, with your editing, are you quite good at picking up when something might be generated by AI?
There's definitely tells.
Yeah.
And I think holistically over a manuscript, you can tell.
Yeah.
Especially in nonfiction. I did have a manuscript a little while ago that was nonfiction that I kind of flagged as AI because the topics, there was no real depth, and it was kind of just saying the same thing in slightly different sentences the whole way through.
Pat it out.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, there's like the little tells, like the sentence structures and what specific punctuation is used. But I think when you actually try and drill down to like a core message or a core takeaway, it's really weak and shallow.
It just skims over it. Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, I read all this, but I didn't actually get anything from it.
So interesting with that. And so I guess that's maybe something that has shaped the discourse in the self-publishing industry over the last year or so. I think that's something that we continue to talk about, and I think it's good that we continue to talk about because we really do have a strong stance. I know that you all here in Coven Press do, where generative AI has no place in the work that you produce. It is fantastic. That's how it should be. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Shall we get into a little bit of discussion around All Booked Out? The wonderful festival that was held last year. What were some takeaways from that experience? So many. Please share.
I think for me, I always think of things in the perspective of time, which is like the hardest thing to, one, manage, but also then have or like create more of. So for me, I'm like, if you think you have enough time, give yourself 3 months more. Some of the stuff you were like that too.
Yes.
But like we did it. We did it in like 4 months, which thinking back is kind of wild to me.
It is wild, but it's impressive.
Which because you look at some festivals and they have like a year kind of lead time.
Yeah.
More.
But I think we smashed it in the 4 months and it was like it delivered.
It did.
But I'm excited to see what it looks like next time when we have more time on our side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was and we wanted to fit in a certain time. So the 4 months was kind of a necessity. It wasn't that we were just like, let's try and squeeze this out as fast as we can. It was, no, it needs to be done on this weekend during this time in buffer out. Yeah, that's it.
And it was successful from my personal experience. As for context, someone who attended as an author, signing author.
You do best.
I really, really enjoyed the experience that I had there. It was, again, the community hub vibes were strong.
Yeah.
The authors across the board that you invited to come as well, fantastic. Chatting to a lot of them. Also from the local area, I think most of them were.
Pretty much everyone. If the furthest was like Melbourne, which is like an hour away.
And you also had a traditionally published author, Emma Mugglestone. And Holly. Holly, yes.
Yeah, that was exciting. I think it was really exciting to kind of meld the two spaces a little bit. And obviously Emma like bridges both.
Yes, that's
And Polly is fully traditional. And I think it was nice to just kind of have everyone in the same space because, well, you're all writers, but we're creative. There's kind of no delineation in our mind of the value. But it was a really big space to platform indie people as well.
Yeah.
It was. It was successful, I found, for sales. It was.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
Well, that's what
Exactly.
I think. We hadn't had really many events like that in Ballarat, to my knowledge, anyway. And I think that was our biggest thing through the whole planning process was like, okay, this is an indie author market. We want the indie authors to shine, but how can we guarantee people coming through the door, right? How can we entice people to come in and buy from the indie authors? And I think we were pretty aware the whole way through that like this was our first one, and it was very much like, something's going to work, some things aren't going to work. Like we knew that from the get-go. I think it surprised us a little bit. Some of the things at the end, we were like, hey, we kind of like thought that was going to be like a nothing thing. And it ended up being like a main attraction. And then there was the panels. Such a surprise. Honestly, we were like, oh, I don't know if people will kind of show up for that. Like we just kind of
think people want to learn.
Yeah,
I think people do want to know as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Especially if they're interested about publishing.
Absolutely.
The more knowledge, the better. So that would be, if I wasn't signing, I would attend panels.
Yeah.
Which you had about 4. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we did about 4. And then I think that really showed all of us, like we kind of got out of that, and in our big debrief following, we were like, we want to do more of that as well. Like we do want to do more indie author specific stuff as well, but to have events specifically geared to like seminars and panels, especially around the local area. I think Ballarat has such a creative like undercurrent through like most people that you talk to, and they were eager to turn up and learn. So I'm excited to see. We've got some plans for that, which will come later.
Yes, please.
We've got some ideas for those sorts of things, and it was great. Like bringing a lot of people that we had worked with for a long period of time as well in under one roof, and connecting them and be like, you guys live 15 minutes away from each other, like immerse yourself in this community and talk, and this is what it can look like, kind of thing. Which
had a chat with one of the authors, or maybe a couple of them, about even just getting onto Substack.
Yeah.
And they hadn't even heard of Substack.
So many things,
You know what? This is just like, here, I'll share some of my information. And then they were telling me some of their stuff. Now, I can't remember who it was exactly. I think he was forgotten his name, sci-fi with the little figurines.
A little bit James.
Yes, James. I learnt a lot from him with the little things that he was creating and the stickers and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm going to hear about
that's how the indie authors learn.
That's it.
That's how it continues to go. Is you see what other indie authors are doing and you're like, noted.
Exactly. It's really good to chat to each other. And I mean, Ballarat really is a hub for a lot of creativity, especially Clunes Booktown, which is coming up very soon. In March. So there's that as well. That's a creative hub. Who knows? The next All Booked Out festival could be similar structure in a bigger event space, like Clunes, or there could be perhaps an online element as well of live streaming panels too. So anyway, I'm probably putting words in there. All that sort of stuff, or whatever you want to say. But perhaps we should get into some of these individual questions that I have for you all. So shall we start? We'll go back to you, Alana, going on the roll with your discussions about everything that we've been talking about in regards to the experiences of being an indie author yourself. So how do you put those experiences of being an indie author into helping others?
I think there's a lot of ways, and it's logistically, and it's also just keeping your thumb on the pulse a little bit, right? Like we've spoken about already, the indie community feeds itself.
Yes.
And so I think to actually be up to date in what's going on, you have to be in it.
Yep.
And so talking to authors, having it be like at least a weekly occurrence to talk to other authors in the area. Keeps me up to date with like what's going on, what's the vibes, what's going on, what are people learning, what's like popping up. It also means that we get to stay really aware for new developments. You kind of become the first to learn about when someone's trying to kickstart a new platform that's designed to help something for an indie author, and being in on the ground level of being like, okay, that sounds like something that the indie field needs. Like, how can we be part of that? How can we support
Would it help you?
Exactly.
From your own author practice?
Yeah.
Would that help me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Yeah.
I think as well, like, I've made a lot of mistakes myself. You know what I mean? Like, so when
you and me both.
Yeah.
Yes.
What indie author hasn't, honestly? If you've had a perfect run, like,
You're not doing it right.
yeah.
You're not doing it right.
So when people come through, and I find the experience of a lot of people that we work with are people that are just starting.
Yeah.
It's their first time ever.
Which is exciting.
And they're like, I don't even know where to look. I don't know what, like, you're telling me to dip my toe, but in which, like, where?
That's it.
Like,
That's it.
and so it's nice to be like, okay, like, I can see the holistic picture, and make this make sense to you in what I know you're going to be focusing on. Like, you are just focusing on, like, you have a Word document, I want a book.
Yep.
How does that look?
How does that happen?
What are the mysterious steps in between that? Because there's a lot of them.
A lot.
But also, like, logistically navigating the platforms that we use, and whether it be English Spark or KDP or talking to printers or navigating bookstores. We've had those conversations. We've had the negative outcomes. We've had all of the random issues that, like, no one's ever seen this random error pop up before, and it's like, what does this error mean? And it's like, I know what that means, actually.
This is business.
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, rather than having to go through the, like, 3-week process of navigating, like, Kindle support, be like, I had that exact same issue.
Yes.
Here's what we do.
Yeah.
So being able to problem solve like that is really helpful as well. Just and when we do roll things out with Coven, it's like, I can be a little test sample if you want to be. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind. I'm so happy just writing and doing my thing, and what success comes through my books, I don't really mind.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. So if we want to try something, I'm like, I'll be a guinea pig.
Yeah.
I don't care. If it fails, it fails. Like, but it means that when we get to take things and we get to actually release our plans for things, or, introduce new concepts that we're doing, we've at least been able to try them and see them practically.
Yeah.
As well, which is, I think, useful.
Very useful. It's very useful because you are the only author out of the 4. Yeah.
Well, we've got some writers, but they're not publishing yet.
Oh, this might need to change eventually, and perhaps because of the insights that you've shared and you have gleaned over the last couple of years, we can get this writing out. I'd love to see it. I think we'd all love to see it. So,
Steph is on what draft? Well, we stopped having draft numbers.
yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about those. Just have really long titles. Awesome. Spaghetti. I love a good title. I love it. No, that's very exciting, Steph. We should get into your question then, which is about the social media marketing world. What unique challenges do self-published authors face that you help navigate?
I think there's so many. Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
And I think the big one, like, I mean, it depends on, like, marketing to me is such a rabbit hole. It's like,
Which part?
where do you start? And I think that was the big thing I noticed when I was first working with authors is like, well, where do you start? Yeah. Where do you go? And I guess, like, to pivot slightly on, like, marketing as a whole, I think a lot of authors I've noticed think that social media marketing is their only avenue for marketing, and that is the be all end all. And there's been a few authors that I've worked with that we've sat down and I've been like, what are you doing? They're like, I only do social media. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to do social media. And I'm like, okay, have we considered doing other things? So I think, like, the big, I guess, overhead, I suppose, idea is, like, instead of focusing solely on social media marketing, do look at other avenues of marketing. There are so many, like, I know a lot of people group them together, but like digital marketing, so like, and whether that's like digital advertising on whatever platform that is, whether that is like Substack blogs and newsletters, those sort of things as well. And then also we've seen massive success, and a lot of the authors that we've worked with don't really have a social media, and they don't want it. And so the encouragement is always, okay, well, like what's the minimum that we can do? Okay, we'll do an author Facebook page, we'll do a 1-page website just so that you're searchable, and then let's focus on grassroots. So I think focusing on all the other different elements of marketing, like events and like there's so many different. I'm trying to think of different things, but there are so many different avenues. I think looking at that and incorporating everything a little bit, even if it is one post here, if it's one event this month, if it's whatever, incorporating everything at once, I think is massive. But I think also social media is so difficult, and it changes. I think the statistic at the moment is like every 3 months there's something. It's a completely new algorithm that you're trying to work out. And so I think it is like a lot of my encouragement would be to build your community. And when I say build, I mean like they're not just people that are following you that want to read your things. They want you like interact, like have a chat, have a conversation. I know we at All Booked Out we worked with the incredible Paula Gleason, who like absolute like incredible woman, and we did a panel with her, and so many. I remember the panel. We were like, it was very structured, and we were like, this is how it's going to work. And by the end of it, we were like, no, throw all the questions out the window, and let's just have a candid conversation. And so many of those people that attended that panel, that event, proceeded to buy her books and have now followed her and are now interacting with her because she built a community, and she's so personable, but she built this space with the rapport. And so I think that is so important, whether it is in person or whether it is online, to build that community and actually interact with that community, because you're going to find people. I think there's a saying, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along the lines of like, if you, just disappeared out of my brain. It's a whole like build a village sort of situation, right? It's like
you all go together in that way. Yes. No.
To build a village.
If you want a village, you need to be a village.
Yes.
Yes.
We got there.
I was like, you'll go further with like, because there is a saying about like, you know, if you want to go somewhere on your own terms, you go by yourself. But if you want to go further, you got to have the whole, you go together. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Yeah.
So definitely building that community. I think social media is also, unfortunately, it's the long game.
It is. It is.
And so posting one or two, posting here and there casually.
It won't get
as long as you get that far.
The traction that you think you want.
Exactly. And it is that like, and that by no means am I saying post every single day and whatever, but I think having some sort of plan, a lot of people don't go over the plans, having a plan and knowing who your audience is as well, and meeting them halfway, which I guess does fall into that whole, if they're offline, go offline. Don't focus on social media. If they're online, focus more online. Your newsletter is obviously super important and all those sort of things as well. But I think a lot of it is just that, like, be patient, actually build your plan. I know people don't like to build plans, but build your plan, put in the time and energy, and act like if that's what you want to do and that's the marketing platform that you want to be seen on, put your time and effort into it.
Yes.
And interactions, community, that's all such a big thing. I think, my biggest takeaway is definitely don't just utilize social media marketing. Look elsewhere.
Agreed. Because you'll burn yourself out.
Exactly.
I feel like it's useful to use social media. I can't be bothered. That sounds
terrible.
It's true.
You're shouting into the void sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes I just take a step back and I go, I'm just doing what suits me, and whatever comes back, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but that's the sustainable method as well, right? You have to do what you can maintain.
Absolutely. That's it. I'm not going to be a slave to the algorithm or anything like that, because it will change.
It changes.
It's fine. And even like even for example, TikTok, which has been something that I don't really quite understand, and every time I go on it, it does confuse me. But for example, I still have it, even though my engagement is not great. But, for example, it did give me an opportunity. There was a bookshop that reached out to me from Adelaide in Victor Harbour. Sorry, Victor Harbour, not Adelaide. and they sent me a message, can we stock your books?
Amazing. Baby. Yes.
Then they posted something about my book a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I commented saying, I'm going to pop down and see you when I come to the other Adelaide event that I'm at. They sent me a message and they said, actually, do you want to come and do a book signing?
Amazing.
And I just thought, yeah, you know what? I'm not doing too bad with my 4 likes on my video. I'm going to do that.
Every connection is like,
yes,
you're engaging.
that's
You're
right.
talking.
Yeah.
So you're the villager in your own village.
I'm just
as
having a
well.
chat for the
Yeah.
people that are there, and it doesn't matter about the clanch and all that stuff. As long as you're participating,
Yeah.
there you go. So anything can happen.
Exactly.
Anything
So
can.
true. Well, we see even so many like traditional authors don't really have that big of a following.
No.
But they're still getting their deals. They're still making money. They're still building these small and I guess more niche communities. But they're there, and they're like the outcome is they can do that full time. So there is that opportunity. It doesn't mean you need to have millions of followers.
No, you don't.
Just having those meaningful.
Well, you're not an influencer as well.
Exactly.
You're just there as it's a promotional tool.
Absolutely.
But yes, no, very interesting. Very interesting, Steph. So we should move on to some of the editing discussions. What you're specialising in, Anna. So can you tell us some things that you wish self-published authors understood more about the editing process?
Yeah, there's kind of 2 main ones that I think about. And I suppose one is practical and one is more creative.
Yeah.
But the first one is that the editing process begins well before you engage with a professional editor.
Yes.
And it becomes through self-editing. That's what needs to happen first and foremost. And whether that's, the author rewriting the draft however many times, or doing that alongside early reader feedback and utilising that, something needs to happen before it comes to an editor, because rarely is a first draft amazing, but also rarely is it ready.
Yep.
And I think one of the biggest things, or really I think an author is shooting themselves in the foot when they give their editor their first draft, because they're not utilising their editor for all that they know.
See.
Yeah. I don't know how to describe this analogy, but it's like the manuscript has like a veil over the top of it, right? It's your first draft. And you going away to do your own self-editing, you could clear away some of that veil yourself. But if you give that manuscript to the editor just as it is, all they're going to do is move that veil. And they're not going to be able to maybe go deeper.
To smooth it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they've only got so much time. They've only got so much.
They should understand exactly what the story is that you've created.
Exactly.
If it's that I saved me as in the author.
Yes.
But yes, when you're coming in it, you're coming from the perspective of a lot of, and I'm sure you do the developmental editing as well, but you're not the author.
No.
So how do you know exactly what plot lines are meant to hit? What's more important than others? Only the author would know.
That's true. And an author going away and fixing what they themselves can fix means that what's left is what they cannot do by themselves.
Yep.
And so then that's where an editor steps in. So that's kind of the main thing practically.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like, I've written this manuscript and now I have to go away and write it again 3 times. Like, it's a lot. Writing a book is a lot. There's energy and effort.
Yeah.
Time.
It's not going to be easy.
And you just want to get the process happening. You just want to get it out there. But the self-editing really needs to.
It has to happen, and it's crucial. And probably would you suggest a time frame of how between, maybe I'm just asking out of personal opinion, finishing a manuscript to then, without doing your self-edits yet, to then sending it to the editor, how long would you suggest should the self-editing process be?
It's kind of almost like how long is a string. But there's that kind of idea that you finish your manuscript, you put it away, you let it sit for like 3 months.
Yeah.
So that, it's subconsciously working in your brain, but you're not in it every day. And you've got a bit of space away from it. So then when you come back to it, you've got fresh eyes.
Yep.
So that's already, 3 months of just letting it sit. And then the self-editing stage can take just as long as it took to write the book sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think whether it's, crash editing, self-editing in 10 weeks or 10 months, something. There has to be something. And I think that 3-month wait or however many month wait is really important as well, because getting space from a manuscript. Once you're in it and you can't, what is it, see the forest from the trees?
No, that's right.
So that, I think, is a really essential part as well.
Absolutely. And so adding to the other parts that you think that self-publishing authors you would like them to understand, is the creative part that you mentioned before, is that related to sitting and doing your own self-edits?
I think it's more about the process itself with the editor. And it comes down to that editing is a collaboration.
Yeah.
First and foremost, and the whole way through.
Yeah.
And writing is always thought of as this solo activity. It's a writer in their log cabin.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, which is it is a solo activity.
Yes.
When you're first initially getting the words on the paper, right? Yeah. But if you want it to be more than that, if you want to publish a book, collaboration is essential. It's really hard to do it alone. And I think it's really hard to do it successfully alone.
Yep.
So for me, collaboration in editing kind of looks like, I'll leave a comment in the margin for a suggestion, whether it's phrasing or placement of a section, and the author will come back and say, yes, but, or yes, and. And it's like, I'll take that little seed of what you've given me, but I'll create it to something that suits me and my story. And I think that's where collaboration happens during the editing process.
To work together.
And you have to. Yeah. It's difficult on the editor's side when there's an author who doesn't want to take any suggestions of it. But then it's also like, what are you here for? That. And then there's also the other side of it, if an author just takes on everything that you say without discerning what is going to work for their story. So I think that an author needs to be as switched on during the edit as an editor does.
Oh, absolutely. You can't really go in on autopilot.
No.
As much as I'm sure sometimes our brains are getting to the point where you're like, I'm just so done.
Fifth time I've read
it, but it is your creative project and it's yours, and it's not about trying to just get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
That is my philosophy, but it gets me into hot water because I delay things so much because I'm all about just, sitting in the process, but timelines are very important. So, yes, thank you for your insight around all of that, Anna. Very much appreciate that. And so, Liz, I would love to know, how do you balance creativity and the author's expectations within a genre that you're creating a cover for, along with the marketing expectations? So do you sometimes have authors that have a really great idea for whatever genre that they're writing in, but you just know, okay, maybe it's not going to be the best way to sell this book? How do you kind of temper the expectations around that?
Well, really clear communication through it. Yes, really. Because
that's
really
important.
Plain speaking.
Not going to work. It's not going to work. Yeah.
But really, when you're at the start of the process, because I know I'm a visual person, being a designer, just kind of getting visuals from them and seeing where they're sitting as well.
Yeah.
And when delivering like a cover, going into a detailed explanation as to why these elements are in there and why they've been used and some haven't and everything.
Yep.
And I think that helps a lot because they're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Did that make sense why you did that? Or yeah, I can see why. And that, I think it's worked well so far.
Yeah, I think so. Been seeing a lot of your stuff out there. It's looking amazing. Yeah. So with the process of when you begin, I'm guessing, do you come in at the end after the edits have been done, or do you come closer to the start?
The edits and the cover usually run in tandem.
Okay. So are you reading the whole story sometimes, or the blurb? Because I can imagine it's a lot of reading.
Oh, as much as I'd love to read everyone's book.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially working part-time.
No.
But if like to get a really good brief, like a good summary, and
Yes. If they answer all the questions really well, you can get a really good feeling for like the vibe and the lack of a better word, and the elements of the of the story, and you can do a lot with that. And if I'm lucky enough to also proofread the book, like there's one that I did the cover for, and I was lucky enough to proofread, and I'm like, yes, it's actually perfect, even though it came the other way around.
Yeah. So it can work either way, where you can kind of either read the whole story and then go, okay, there's so many different ideas, but or you can just read summary and go, yep, nothing to do. Yeah.
A lot of preemptive work, though, launching into the design.
Okay. And there's a lot of research into it as well, like John research and kind of seeing and wash going on in that space as well. And
so what kind of resources do you look towards to influence your research in making a cover for someone's book?
Well, it kind of depends on the book. Like,
yes.
I'm going back to this one that we did recently because it was influenced by Renaissance art. So that was a fun rabbit hole to go down.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and like then you think of like even the textures you could use, or like the shapes,
the typography,
and not just, you don't just look at, don't just go to Booktopia and look at the best-selling book covers in that category, although you do that too. Yeah, there's like, as I said before with the other question, like there's the depths that you go to before you even kind of just start putting it together.
Yep. So there's a lot of collaboration maybe that happens as well with the author.
Yeah, the author, they've usually, it's their baby. So you just want to do present it in the best way possible.
Yeah.
That also works, we'll also sell it.
Yes.
Yes.
How often do you have an author come to you with a clear, set idea of what cover they want?
We've only got a couple.
Yeah, it's rare, isn't it?
But
oh my God.
It did work out amazingly. But it was a poet though, so it was very poetic.
Okay.
It was a poetic brief, but you could really see it.
But they knew what they wanted at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just go, we want this, this and this, have at it.
Yeah.
And that's also where
author-driven vibes.
Yeah, they're very much combining the vibes.
Yeah.
But that's where that explanation of how it's all been combined, I think, helps as well, because they can see what they've put in and what I've put in, and mixes together. So
I think that's usually the best way that a cover is created or an artwork is created, when there's a loose idea from what an author wants, and then you as the designer with your skills and your research, you're like, I know what you're talking about here. I'm going to present something to you. And then it's like one of the best feelings that you get when the feedback is, you've made it better than I expected it to be, because there's something that they just don't have the ability to envision it the way that designers do.
Yeah. My favourite thing I remember doing with you once, I said, Liz, a whole bunch of covers, and I was like, I love these covers. I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
And she came back with oh, this movement here, it just demonstrates this thing, and this is what is catching your eye. And I was like, she's so right. That's why I love it. It's just able to give the tech, the terminology back to me. Why it was landing in my brain.
Why? Those iterations of design theory. Currently finally come back.
That's right. It all comes back. But there's a lot of learning that has to be done in the visual arts and creative graphic design disciplines that you and I both share a history with, and it's not as easy as getting onto Canva, creating something. I wish it was, because Canva is an accessible tool for a lot of people to use, but there's a reason why we studied so much with making the right choices in regards to typography and how to make that shine on top of graphics, where to place things and all of that. That is where your expertise will shine in that stuff. And the hard work and education that you've done. Just like, anyone can claim because they've done self-edits that they can edit another person's book, but you've done the hard work to do all that kind of stuff. It is about groundwork in your field where it all comes to fruition. So
Absolutely.
thank you for all your insights into your own individual practices. So one question that I have left, which is for everyone, what does the future of Coven Press look like? Big question.
Big question. I feel like we all have different, like, we definitely have a combined vision.
Yeah.
But then we each have the things that we kind of desire within that. I think the big one for me is like, I want Coven to be everyone's full-time job. I want us to have an office space one day.
Yeah.
Like this, like a physical space where people can come and see us and meet us and hang out and do workshops. Like,
all our books and
I would love that.
People could sit and write.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's the big dream, I think.
Yes. Could be a bookshop as well.
Bookshop, cafe,
honestly,
everything.
the amount of conversations we've got the cafe, the bookstore, the meeting room, and
fairly so we've drawn
everything.
plans and everything. We need to get
We have definitely said real estate links before, being like, this would be perfect, and it's not in the budget, but like,
no, that's okay.
yeah, I
Got a dream.
I would agree. I think that, like, amongst us all, I think we have got we've done a lot of work to first and foremost, like, keep the paths aligned with having flexibility beneath that to be like, oh, Anna wants to explore over there, like we can branch out that way and let her do that.
Yes.
And you know, Liz is interested in this, like Liz, we're going to allow that to sort of happen beneath the branch of Coven. So I think we have really clear ideas of like where we want Coven as a whole to go, while having the flexibility for everyone to follow their little niche interest within that. But
Yeah.
massive things coming for Coven. If our bookings and schedule for this coming year is anything to go by, we're pretty busy already,
So cool.
which is great.
Because how long have you been doing Coven Press?
We're coming up on our first year.
What?
1st of February.
First again.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's been, as the date that we're recording this, less than 12 months.
Yes.
And you reflect on everything that's been.
Yeah.
You've had a book event.
Yeah.
You've done and worked with so many wonderful authors.
Yeah.
Does it feel like this is the beginning?
Yes.
It does, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think time.
Specifically this month for me,
Yeah.
just felt like, oh, okay, this kind of looks like what it could,
Yeah.
what it could keep going at. So,
Yeah. You know, ABOF will make a return. We've got some. We had a really fun. We kept it on the download, but we had a really fun retreat that we did at the end of last year. Simply our own way of running a writing retreat, but also, you know, using it for Coven work as well. And we came out of that with a lot of ideas of what ABOF will look like.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Wow.
Expanded as well.
Yeah.
As well as other projects. We love the idea of a podcast as well.
Oh my goodness, you should.
We've got some
Anything
thoughts.
to go by. It has been one of the most enjoyable parts of the many side quests that I do. This has got to be, it's hard to pick a favourite, but this is certainly up there. Certainly rewarding.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think for me, just always, I like that we always bring our conversations back to, like, one, yes, how does it serve us and serve Coven, but how can we continue to give back?
Yeah.
How can we continue to pay back into the community?
Yep.
And so a lot of our projects are really just geared towards, like, supporting back in to indies directly, while allowing ourselves to grow and follow our own passions in that. So I'm really excited to see, like, all the ways we do that.
Yes, it's amazing. So do we have any sort of date for maybe when the next All Booked Out festival might be, or is that still something that is in the works?
that's an after Clunes decision.
That's so true. True. We've got Clunes coming up, which we're really excited for.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and we'll be in with you as well.
I'll
So
be there for one
stop
day.
by, everyone.
Please stop by Clunes Booktown Festival. I'll have to keep sending it out to everyone too. Yes.
But we've got some fun things planned for Clunes, really, just to, like, engage with people and just talk to people a lot there.
Yeah.
I think ABOS we were planning is going to be a second half of the year.
Yeah.
A bit later. Obviously, we did it in mid-year. Last year we did it around June, July, so it's going to be later.
Cool.
But we've got that for the later half of the year, and potentially some other things later in the year as well. But the big thing is Clunes, and then and then we're
Clunes is the horizon.
yes,
Clunes is in March 22nd and 23rd, or 21st and 22nd.
One of
It is
Just come
one
to
of
Clunes,
those.
all of those.
Close to Clunes Booktown, because Coven Press will be there. Both WG Hunts will be. It's one G Hunt be there, and they're one day. One day.
Well, scarcity, right? You've got to get in.
That's true.
One day only, folks.
You say scarcity, but I think I've got 11 book events this year that I am on a tour for.
It's stressful, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, it is part of the community building aspect where I think, you know what, I'm going to do it this year.
Yeah.
Just going to do it.
Exactly.
Let's go out there. So finally, to wrap this all up, where can people find you in the social media world, on the internet, wherever? How can people get in contact if they want your services? Marketing. So what is the website?
Should have prepared this. You can find us at www.covenpress.com.au. We have a work with us. There you can fill out a link. There's also a couple of email addresses. What's our email address? I should know. Hello at covenpress.com.au. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Coven Press HQ.
Yes.
Is there anywhere else, Neil?
I think
big
that's
ones.
the big ones. Yeah.
Yes. There could be more.
There will be more eventually.
Engage us on Insta and Facebook. But if you want to chat, if you have any questions, we have a couple of different pathways through on the website as well. Forms, work with us, things like that. So
the services that you provide include, you've got some, obviously the editing, cover design.
and we do self-publishing guidance as well. So that step by step, like, hey, here's how to enter this world kind of thing.
Yep.
We also do formatting, so the layouts, the ebook functionalities, all those sorts of things, and then obviously massive with some marketing.
Major marketing, different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of different platforms.
Lots of different, yeah.
It is a hub.
Yeah.
It's a hub.
Essentially, you can come to us from, what do we say? From a blank page to book launch.
Yes. Blank page to book launch.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you all.
Thank you
so much for having this wonderful discussion with me today and inviting me to ask you some questions about your creative pursuits and your marketing expertise, your author insights, creative insights, and everything like that. It's been a pleasure, everyone.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hardy Audio. Yes. Thank you, Hardy Audio, for letting us have a chat in this space. So if you want to check out the wonderful ladies here at Coven Press, go check out their Instagram, their Facebook, their websites, their website, because it is such a hub of information for the indie authors in our space. And thank you so much for everyone tuning in today, for listening to this wonderful special edition of the Indie Author Life Show.
To say thank you to Lauren, the MVP. She's probably listening because she's
Is she listening?
She's absolutely listening.
Okay, please.
So obviously Lauren has been the MVP of the day for letting us use Hardy Audio film here.
Yeah.
Lauren is the owner of Hardy Audio, and she's a personal and very good friend with Coven Press and has supported us from day one. Hardy Audio, for those uninitiated, is a Ballarat-based audio production company that specialises in all things audio, from advertising to podcasts, and for authors out there, audiobooks as well. So when it comes to audiobooks, Hardy work with their authors to produce high-quality audiobook content without AI, which is obviously running rampant in the audiobook community, but no AI here, using real and incredibly talented Australian artists. They also handle distribution to major sales and distribution platforms. And specifically for budget-friendly authors, Hardy Audio has recently launched a cost-effective package that allows authors the ability to professionally self-record and produce their audiobooks by creating a little pack to take home with you and record your little audiobooks, which is effectively a totally and fully equipped mini studio. And so if you want to check out Hardy Audio, you can visit them at hardyaudio.com.au or email studio@hardyaudio.com.au. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching the Indie Author Live show. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to know more about my own literary journey or the journey of some of our guests that you might have seen on the show, please consider subscribing or following my Substack or my YouTube channel.